Hi, my name is Fredrik Carlegren. I'm the Executive Director of Global Marketing with Toshiba Global Commerce Solutions. In my role, it's really about understanding retail, understanding our customers and the market, and see how we can better put together solutions and communicate the value of technology in the retail space. So the way I think artificial intelligence is really influencing industry, and the role of artificial intelligence is ultimately, I think, to make smarter decisions and help retailers make smarter decisions about the data, and then how to turn that into more prescriptive and personalized information, solutions, communications out with clients, but also partners. Essentially, it's got to drive more intelligent retail. So when you think about whether or not artificial intelligence is going to be required and what role it's going to have if a retailer does or doesn't implement it, yeah, I do think retailers are going to be able to survive whether or not, or to the extent to which they really leverage and take advantage of artificial intelligence. But at the end of the day, I think those that can truly embrace it in a way that derives and delivers value are the ones who are going to be more successful. Whether or not there's going to be a need for human presence in stores or not, I think you're going to see both. I do think that there are a number of new examples already all around the world where automation around stores is taking over. But I think at the end of the day, it's not going to ultimately take over the entire industry. So perhaps artificial intelligence can also help decipher when, where, and how the automation and the role of automation can take hold. But at the end of the day, retailing is an emotional experience. It's way more than a transaction. It's an engagement between a consumer and a brand. And depending on different segments, geographies, and consumers, you're always going to have that human presence that becomes really important. I think the most interesting part then is how can artificial intelligence help improve the human experience based on the information that it can derive and help retailers gain. So a frictionless store, from our point of view, is not an end state. A lot of times you see concepts of frictionless stores today that are very controlled, highly controlled. Everything from how the consumer needs to interact, what the technology in the store needs to be. From Toshiba's point of view, it's much more about the journey. So a frictionless store for us is a continuous look at how you remove points of pain and simplify the operations and the consumer experience within the store. And if you do that and iterate and continuously improve in that process, you're going to move towards a frictionless store end state. But it's an evolutionary process. It's not a singly defined store environment in and of itself. So the question as to whether or not a frictionless store needs to also be a digital store, I think you need to consider the fact that technology can play two different roles. It can be in front of the customer and be very customer facing and change perhaps the way that consumers interact with technology in order to make it more seamless. But it can also be behind the scenes and allow a retailer to operate more efficiently and remove other obstacles and barriers to operations, costs, etc. on the back end. So when you look at it from that perspective, it doesn't necessarily mean that the store itself needs to become fully digital. It just means that retailers are going to use technologies to simplify operations and deliver a better overall experience, no matter how that's done. So at the end of the day, I think the retailers that really can leverage and understand the use of artificial intelligence, it's going to come down to, can they learn more information or new information about their business, about their operations, or about their customers in order to change their behaviors and operations to deliver a better experience. If you can do that as a retailer and leverage technologies available, artificial intelligence and others, then you have an ability to deliver better experience, drive down operational costs, and ultimately, therefore, differentiate yourself in the market. To do this and to leverage automated technologies, artificial intelligence, there are going to be some challenges, and retailers are really going to have to prioritize and understand how to overcome those challenges. Some of them are going to be technical. If you look at a number of new different IoT devices, how you manage to synchronize those, how you power those with a software platform that's agile in order to be able to be responsive and deliver the types of outcomes that you're looking for. That's one piece. The other piece of it's strictly operational, and understanding that now when you have new technologies that are changing perhaps the experience, it's not enough for you to deploy those successfully. You have to bring your customers along with you. You have to explain and make sure that they're comfortable in an environment where it's either directly facing them or they know that their information is used in a different way, especially considering privacy and security and other aspects like that. So you're gonna have to put all of that together in order to consider the outcome and how to deliver the best overall experience and overcome some of the challenges with getting to an automated store. So it's an interesting question as to whether or not shoppers would be happier shopping from an automated store or more of a traditional store with that human experience. And I don't think there's a right or wrong answer there. It's really going to come down to what a particular consumer expects. Are their expectations met or exceeded by the experience that they have? Just like we've seen in other technologies where they've been deployed over the last few years, take self-checkout or self-service options in retail or even in other ways that we use it in our daily lives. In the beginning, there was some hesitation or concern or lack of understanding that didn't make it quite as smooth. It took operational change management in order to get consumers comfortable with that technology. So really, it's going to come down to the same choice here of what is a consumer looking for? What expectation do they have when they go into your store? If they expect a more human, emotional connection, they're going to want somebody there to help them. If they're just going for a very quick, in and out type of experience, then maybe a fully automated store delivers that expectation as well. So it's going to come down to, do you know your customer? Do you understand the application of technology in order to deliver that experience? And if you do, I think you're going to be just fine. From Toshiba's perspective, when we're looking at frictionless store environments, we see a couple of primary technologies that are really driving the opportunity to create these new experiences. We're seeing, sensing technologies. We are talking about and bringing to market multi-layered sensing capabilities for store shelves. But a big part of it is really the computer vision aspect. But computer vision with artificial intelligence, but also importantly, having the computing at the edge, right? And when you can combine the computing power with computer vision at the edge, and then have computer vision technology that communicates with each other through mesh networks, then you're starting to orchestrate individual technologies that make a difference. Importantly though, when we're working with retailers, we understand that it's not necessarily putting all of those together at the same time in the same place. Each of those technologies plays a certain role, and they can bring value in and of themselves. But it's ultimately the roadmap and the path you take, the path towards frictionless, and how you orchestrate those technologies together simply add to the value that you as a retailer can derive and create the frictionless experience. In 2020 and beyond, you're going to continue to see an explosion of different technologies. There's no question about it. You're going to see everything from artificial intelligence, as we talked about, computer vision, and a number of other technologies come to play. And I think it's ultimately more about which of those technologies are retailers going to embrace, and which ones are going to best serve the use cases needed today. Because if the technologies don't serve a purpose and a value in helping with things like customer tracking, loss prevention, inventory management, planogram compliance today, then I think they're going to have a slower time taking off, right? So we all have a vision for the future, and I think that's fantastic. But it's not all about a store of the future. It's also about a store of the present. We want to make sure that technologies that are applied help support the needs of today's store to deliver a better overall experience. So my advice to retailers and e-commerce providers is quite simply innovate. There's an adage that failure leads to success, right? And I think this is an area where you need to continually become agile. You need to really test, try, and see what you can do in a number of different areas that ultimately improves the experience and drives to the business outcomes you're looking for. But this is not an area where you're going to be successful day one. It's going to take close iteration, analysis, and understanding of how these technologies are evolving and how you can continue to find new ways to deploy them and continue to drive better experiences and overall value. At the end of the day, frictionless and artificial intelligence and all these words that we use to talk about the future and where retailing is going is just going to continue. To me, this is just an amazing area to watch and see not only how technology is evolving, but how vendors, how retailers are going to continue to collaborate, because this is going to take more than one player. This is going to take a collaboration across the industry to determine how we use technology in a way that delivers better experiences, drives better store operations, and ultimately just makes retail better.